Welcome to the Bogosity Podcast for the 22nd of August 2011, the podcast that taps you on your opposite shoulder and giggles. This is your host, Shane Killian. Let's toll the bell for the news of the bogus. For weeks, this podcast covered the fallout, no pun intended, of the Fukushima nuclear disaster. Okay, the pun was intended. Now we have the first direct, reliable measurements of how much radiation children in the area were exposed to, and it wasn't much. We hear from global warming deniers all the time about how climatologists should release to the public all of their data about global climate change, especially in the wake of the ClimateGate non-scandal. And you know, without agreeing with their bogus conclusions about climate change, I've always agreed 100% with the deniers on this point. If this really is a concern that affects everyone, why not release all of the data? Don't we deserve to know? Well, the University of East Anglia has done exactly that. There has just been another court case coming down in favor of our precious liberties. Usually politicians claim sovereign immunity, saying they can't be sued, and the courts go along. Not this time. Two security contractors, both of whom are U.S. citizens, claim that Donald Rumsfeld ordered the torture of, get this, them. Yes, two American citizens. If you've ever run a blog, YouTube channel, or any other web page where members of the public can comment, and you've talked about skeptical or atheist issues, then no doubt the name David Maybus fills you with dread. He is a notorious internet troll who for years has been harassing skeptics with abusive messages. Banning or blocking him has never worked, as he would just use another account from another IP address and keep going with it. In recent years, his posts have escalated into threats of violence and even death threats. The good news is, today Montreal police have just announced the arrest of Dennis Marcusa, the individual who has been posting as David Maybus. And now it's time to revoke the reality license of this week's biggest bogon emitter. Ron Paul, for his third run for president, has decided to go all or nothing and not file to run for re-election to his congressional seat. He's off to a great start, dominating the straw polls, including the Ames, Iowa straw poll, where he came just 3% behind first-place winner Michelle Bachmann on her home turf. But you'd never know that from watching the election coverage. Politico.com ran the headline, Michelle Bachmann wins Ames straw poll. Tim Pawlenty gets third. NBC's Meet the Press likewise skipped Ron Paul in their reporting, as did CBS's Face the Nation, and even Fox News, who ran the recent debate between the candidates. Now it's time to rub salt in the wounds of this week's Idiot Extraordinaire! If we had to sit here and debunk every idiotic political dogmatist who lashes out after his delusions are crushed by the facts, we'd never talk about anything else. Just like we'd never talk about anything else if we talked about every whiny creationist who did likewise. But when you're faced with the extremes of the extreme, you're left with little choice but to single that idiot out. Case in point, YouTube user FSA the First. He has made videos laughably attempting to rebut two stories covered on this podcast and showed himself to be worse than even most creationists in the process.